Yo, what's up? Welcome to Kind of Funny Games Daily for Monday, January 8th, 2024. I'm one of your hosts, Blessing. Adelia Jr. Joining me is LaCroix Poppy himself, a.k.a. Tim Ma-Buggin Geddes.
Bless, I would ask you how your weekend was, but I don't even need to. I know the answer. I know it was amazing.
It was life-altering.
For two different reasons. One, coming off the absolute high of Kind of Funny Day 2024. Y'all showed up. It was amazing. We had a great time. Might go down in history as my favorite Kind of Funny Day we have done yet. Celebrating 9 years of Kind of Funny. The team that we have right now firing on all cylinders an entire day, over 12 hours. I think it was like 14 hours of us just hanging out, having fun, making content, just having a great time.
Yeah. I loved it. I think it was organized fantastically, right? Like, I love the streams where it is, hey, we have different segments and we're putting on a show, right? It isn't just hanging out, even though I love the hanging out streams, right? But it isn't just hanging out. It is like people on deck. We have a run a show. We have ideas of what we're going to do. We're going to make some polished products here. And I think we delivered. I think we did such a great job. And it was a fun time. And it seems like people out there really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was so much fun. And it just felt like such a win that I personally needed. It really felt like a moment for me, like emotionally and mentally. And it felt so good to be able to go home and just like get into bed and just be like, we did it. We did it. That was awesome. And then the next day on Saturday, Bless, me, you, Roger Percorny, Leanza, and Gia, we got rewarded for all of our hard work by going to the Sonic Symphony World Tour. And it legit changed our lives.
It was incredible. Like, I told you that night, and maybe it was me coming off of the high, and I'm still coming off of the high. It's probably the best music show I've ever been to. And I've been to Kendrick Lamar concerts. And like, that Sonic Symphony was something else. Like, it was one of those things where, you know, Sonic, we make fun of Sonic, we have fun with Sonic, right? Like, I think both me and you are Sonic fans with the understanding of how ridiculous of a thing that is to be, especially as me about to enter my 30s, right? You already being in your 30s. And like us being two grown men that have nostalgia for a thing that just persists, right? And we understand the ridiculousness of it. We understand like, but I think we also understand that like so much of it is just rooted in the idea of like, hey, we love this thing so much as a kid, and it's fandom, right? Like, we bought into it, and I bought into it, right? Like, I'm still playing Sonics to this day. I played the Sonic Origins collection when it came out. I played Sonic Frontiers. It was a 3 out of 5 game that I loved, like a 5 out of 5 game. And being there in the audience of the Sonic Symphony, I think it all like reminded me of why, right? Like, it was the fact that there are moments, like, the cool thing about the symphony is that obviously they have the symphony, they have the orchestra, but then they also have like a big video that's playing, and there's like Sonic gameplay and Sonic cutscenes playing as the music is playing. But at a certain point during the symphony, they bring out a vocalist, they bring out a drummer, they bring out guitarists, and it turns into, oh, now we're playing metal. Now we're playing like the fun, like Escape from the Cities, the Live and Learns, the songs that you know from Sonic. And it was in that moment where I was like, oh, this is special. Like, Sonic, sure, varying in quality when you look at all the different products, but regardless of the quality, regardless of like the critic scores, regardless of all that, it is special. And that is why we love it.
Yeah, you're so right. And I'm right there with you. I've been to probably 100 concerts overall, and I've probably been to like 50 plus video game concerts. And I'm with you that it's up there. Like, it's debatably number one. It was incredible. And I think a big part of it is everyone that was on stage, everyone at the sold out place, like, it was wild how many people were there. They were there to have a good time. And what I love is I've seen so many, whether it's like Disney in concert or other symphony things where it's like there's something playing on the screen. Even recently, I've seen the Spider-Verse stuff. With that stuff, my God, that was amazing. Those are top as well. But I've seen a lot of times where video game music's being played by an orchestra and there's like edited videos on the projector in front of us. It's always just, oh, it's Mario music, so here's some Mario stuff. This was like perfectly, expertly edited to every single moment, eliciting responses from the audience of like, it was funny in ways.
Dude, I mean, the one that hit me, that hit for me was the Chemical Plant Zone, where there's a moment in Chemical Plant Zone that everybody knows where the water's rising and there are these rotating blocks that you had to platform up through. And the story for, I'm pretty sure every single person that's played through Chemical Plant Zone is either drowning or getting caught in the corners and dying because you get smushed. And that part of that level is so stressful. and there's a part in the Chemical Plant Zone music where it does like a dun dun dun, and like as soon as they hit that in the music, they would like they would zoom in on that portion of the level to like really elevate like, oh, we all felt stress in this moment. And it's the fact that you can have moments like that where it's like we all share this,
dude. And it was like, so it was Sonic and Tails are about to drown. It zooms in on them, and then they get out, and the music just kind of releases and hits.
Yeah,
and the crowd went wild.
Yeah,
people were cheering that like they made it without drowning, and it was like, man, this is special. There's something special. And throughout the whole thing, the energy just kept building the entire time until the end, when the show was over and they still hadn't played Escape from the City. And we all knew. We all knew that they were going to come back and do an encore. That's how concerts work. The energy was unlike anything I've ever seen in my life. There were girls behind us that were screaming, "City Escape! City Escape!"
And like for like 2 minutes straight. Like they wouldn't stop screaming to the point where I'm like, okay, like it's okay.
Like,
we're gonna get
it. They're gonna play it. But I want to share this all with you. We're gonna listen to about 30-second clip of City Escape, so y'all can hear and see how wild this was.
Yes. Like people are going crazy in the audience here. Come on, dude.
Listen to this.
Like, come on, dude.
You can stop it now.
Like a whole auditorium of people.
I was transported to like a pop punk show. You know? Like that was wild.
Yeah.
But it was for Sonic, Barrett. Like everyone knew every word to every song. It was fantastic.
My favorite was when like there's a song that starts playing where I'm like, I don't recognize the song, and I hear and like you turn and you're like, this is Shadow the Hedgehog, and I was like, oh, this has to be Shadow the Hedgehog. And then both me and you like kind of turn to like find like where's Roger at in the audience, and like I see him and Roger's like fucking like going crazy.
Like it was Sonic or Shadow with the guns.
Yeah.
Like,
my god.
Oh my god, it was so good. And I will say, if it's coming to a town near you, you should absolutely go if you've ever liked Sonic at all. If you like video games, I still think it's worth going. The thing that blew me away, Gia had a great time. She was that was awesome. She was like, you could feel how much it matters to people. And she was like, it was just kind of, she said special. It was special. But anyway,
special.
Enough of that. I'm still riding that high though.
Yeah. You know what else is special? Video game news. Let's talk about today's stories, which include an Xbox exclusive game is rumored for the Nintendo Switch. Metal Gear Solid 3 Remake is seemingly coming this year, and more, because this is Kind of Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday, we run you through the nerdy news you need to know about live on YouTube, Twitch, and podcast services around the globe. If you love what we do, support us with the Kind of Funny membership on Patreon or YouTube to get all our shows ad-free, watch us record them live, and get a daily exclusive show. And then for a chance to be a part of the show, submit your thoughts and opinions as YouTube super chats as we go. Housekeeping for you. Speaking of, that is right, we're making some changes to the show. There's not gonna be a 30-minute post show, super chat post show. Now your super chats are reader mail, so write in with your super chats to get your questions read on the show. Or at least I should say for the possibility to get your questions read on the show. You're Wrong is still active. I didn't mention You're Wrong in the rigmarole. It's still a thing that is happening. We're just gonna talk about it at the end of the show instead of the rigmarole. The idea there, I should pause there and say, we had like a meeting about KHD, and like we do this before like the next year for all of our shows, right? Of like, what are the things that we can improve? What are the things that need to improve about our shows? We look at feedback. We look at our own feedback and go, all right, what do we need to do? One of the things I think we all agreed on is that the rigmarole needs to get quicker. Yeah. The rigmarole is very long. And so, yeah, because of that, if you just heard, right, the rigmarole is real quick in a way that I really like. So we're still going to do You're Wrong. We're just going to talk about it at the end of the show. And you always know that you can write into kindoffunny.com/You're Wrong to do all that stuff. There's also going to be a change to Out Today and new dates. But we'll tell you about that later.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's a fun little surprise there. But yeah, there's going to be a couple changes made throughout a bunch of our different shows. Mainly this one. I think this has the most changes. But they're all stuff based on feedback we've gotten from you and from talking to each other, just trying to make the show as good as it can possibly be. And yeah, just give us the grace of this week or so, the next 2 weeks, to figure out all the changes that we've made, because like there's going to be a lot of unforeseen issues when it comes to the YouTube membership side of things, but we're pushing through. So far, so good. So far, everything's working, but we're definitely just going to have to, as things go on, be like, oh, that causes this. Cool, we'll have to figure that out. So please be patient with us, but I'm feeling good, and I think it's going to be great. But yeah, just to be clear now, you can super chat throughout the show to be part of the different stories, and it's not a guarantee you will, but we're going to try to pull people in during the show, and then when we have time at the end of the episode, that's when it'll be more like the post shows used to be.
There you go. Then more housekeeping for you. Our marathon stream from Friday is up currently as a VOD over on youtube.com/kindafunnygames. Thank you to our Patreon producer, Delaney Twining. Today we're brought to you by BetterHelp, but we'll tell you about that later. For now, let's begin with what is, and forever will be, the Roper Report. It's time for some news. We have 5 stories here.
A baker's dozen.
Starting with our number 1, Xbox exclusive Hi-Fi Rush is rumored for the Nintendo Switch. This is Wesley Yinpool at IGN. Xbox hit Hi-Fi Rush is heavily rumored to be set for rival console Nintendo Switch in 2024, sparking a vociferous debate. A vociferous debate about Microsoft's exclusives strategy. Insider Nate the Hate, who has a good track record when it comes to video game announcements, teased that a critically acclaimed Xbox exclusive is set to launch on a competing console platform. Reset Era user Lolly Lulelo, who also has a good track record for video game announcements, then appeared to confirm Tango Gameworks' Hi-Fi Rush is coming to Switch. Windows Central then reported that Microsoft, quote, has been exploring bringing some of its back catalog to other platforms, although some of the details remain vague and unconfirmed. IGN has asked Microsoft for comment. The reports have sparked a debate online about Microsoft's Xbox exclusive strategy, with some fans bemoaning the idea of an Xbox exclusive launching on a rival console, such as the Nintendo Switch or PlayStation 5. Others have expressed excitement that a game such as Hi-Fi Rush could get a second wind and millions more players, potentially helping to build the case for a sequel. The rumors come just 2 months after Xbox CFO Tim Stewart said Microsoft wants to bring first-party games to every screen that can play games, including rival consoles. Quote, it's a bit of a change of strategy, Stewart said at the Wells Fargo TMT Summit in November. Quote, not announcing anything broadly here, but our mission is to bring our first-party experiences and our subscription services to every screen that can play games. That means smart TVs, that means mobile devices, that means what we would have thought of as competitors in the past, like PlayStation and Nintendo, end quote. Tim, how could they?
How could they?
How fucking dare they?
How could they get an amazing game in the hands of more players?
This is really cool.
I think so too.
Yeah, I mean, Hi-Fi Rush is one of my favorite games of last year, right? It's one that I adore. It's one that, like, you know, it's one that obviously came out of nowhere, because it literally came out of nowhere, right? Of like, hey, it's out. I forget if it was an out today thing or an out tomorrow thing, but it was out pretty much quickly after it was revealed at the developer_direct from last year. And I like, it's one of those ones where I'm like, this is what I'm talking about when I look at an exclusive library, and I'm like, and for me, one of my desires from like publishers, especially like console publishers, is like, I want to see vibrancy within the library, right? I want to see different kinds of games. I want to see different types of experiences. I want to see a lot of creativity. And Hi-Fi Rush was the culmination of everything I'd been asking for.
Oh, yeah.
Give me an action rhythm game that has a really cool art style, really fun characters, really fun
Tango
gameplay.
Gameworks.
From Tango Gameworks, the people that did Evil Within and the people that you associate with, you know, survival horror, them doing this, having like a left field kind of like, hey, we're doing something different, and to see them find success with it, that is dope.
And that's the thing, all of that, and it was amazing. Like that, I think that's the real kicker to it, is like, this game is fantastic. So many people here at Kinda Funny had a blast with this game. The three of us specifically really vibed with this, and Andy as well. And for everything you just said, such a major success. And it also, this makes so much sense on Nintendo. And I feel like this is a perfect example of, I don't think all exclusives are equal. I think that's a fairly obvious thing to say. And I know that so much of this is rooted in console war, absolute bullshit nonsense, right? But when you look at this, like, there is a game here that had so many circumstances around it add up to this perfect storm to create something that really has never been seen before in video games. Like, not quite like this. And I still feel like it's in its infancy of, there's potential for this to turn into a franchise, for Chai and the crew to turn into characters that people love and care about, and years from now are hoping a sequel's announced, or hoping there's a spin-off, or like, you know, like that people are talking about Hi-Fi Rush and its world the way that we talk about so like Banjo, you know what I mean, and things like that. And maybe we can finally move on from Blinks the Time Cat being the
Don't disrespect Blinks the Time Sweeper.
Shut the fuck
That's
up.
my
You
guy.
don't respect Blinks the Time Sweeper.
I mean, a little bit. My next door neighbor Freddie had Blinks the Time Sweeper, and I was always shout out to Freddie. And I was wondering, I was like, this game looks different, man. Like, I don't know what it is about this game. It's different though.
Yeah, it is definitely different. But yeah, this is the type of news that I'm not surprised if this is the case. I am a little surprised given what seems to be Xbox's strategy. Like, again, I know there's a lot of words going against what I'm saying. We've heard things every which way, and we're going to continue to as they try to figure out what things look like, what a landscape looks like for Xbox games.
This is one of the places where I think Xbox is very future looking. I don't know if that's the right phrase, but like future forward, I guess, is like the idea of, hey, yeah, like we have this game that we want to do well, that we want to sell copies, or we want to at least get into people's hands, right? Selling copies is not even the sole goal when you talk about Xbox Game Pass. But when you look at your own platform and you have something like Xbox Game Pass that is all about subscriptions, all about like player base, all about getting people to continually subscribe, and you have this game like Hi-Fi Rush that I think does have a level of like, all right, it's an exclusive, which means it's going to have a cap on how many people get into it. Yeah, let's find other platforms to put this on. We're coming off of the Insomniac leaks, and like one of the things coming out of that being that, oh man, PlayStation spends a lot of money on these games, and these games don't always make enough money back to even necessarily justify them, right? Like, and this is going to be this is something you got to apply per company of like, what is their strategy? Because of course, part of PlayStation's strategy is we're going to sell PlayStations, we're going to sell boxes, right? And so even if Spider-Man doesn't sell, enough to get back the $300 million or whatever it was to make that game, hopefully we're at least selling enough PlayStations to justify it and make it worth it. On the Xbox side, right? Like, I think for them, they have to go, all right, we're going to sell this many subscriptions, hopefully with Hi-Fi Rush, or we're going to retain this many people with Hi-Fi Rush with Xbox Game Pass. But, we're about a year, we're like almost exactly a year after Hi-Fi Rush came out. What is the job still being done in the same way in terms of what that is meant for, right? Like, if Hi-Fi Rush came out last January, and part of the promise there for Xbox was getting more people to the Xbox Game Pass or retaining the Xbox Game Pass user base. Now that we're past that, what now becomes Hi-Fi Rush's mission? And that mission could be, hey, go to Nintendo, maybe PlayStation if we're able to get on PlayStation, and make us more money, right? Get more sales, build up the player base, so that way when Hi-Fi Rush 2 comes out, it's not just, this is me just putting out numbers, right? It's not just, let's say 3 million, 4 million of people that played the first one. Now it could be maybe 7 million, maybe 8 million people that played Hi-Fi Rush that are looking forward to a Hi-Fi Rush 2. I think that's what you want to build by putting these games on other platforms.
Yep, absolutely. Xbox is clearly still in an experimental phase, and that's had wins and losses over the last couple decades at this point. But I do feel like things are starting to crystallize, and a lot of the wins are starting to pop up, and Hi-Fi Rush clearly is one of those. But I also think that their ability to be nimble and look at things on almost a case-by-case basis is going to work out for them in the long run, specifically in cases like this where, this is the second wind potential for a Hi-Fi Rush. Like, they put out the DLC pack, like the more boss rushy type mode thing that, a while back to be able to have another marketing beat, even like a lighter one, but just to remind people, hey, Hi-Fi Rush is awesome. This is another great way, and I feel like, again, looking at Hi-Fi Rush and what the game is and the characters and vibe and sound of it, it feels very Nintendo, and I feel like that it makes sense to put onto the Switch.
I think the Nintendo audience would really love Hi-Fi Rush.
Exactly, and I've seen a lot of talk about PS5 as well, but then there potentially being some weird back-end issues on this. So I actually wouldn't be surprised if at the end of the day, Hi-Fi Rush comes to both.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
Which, again, it just goes back to what we're talking about in service of the needs of that game at that time, which I know goes against the traditional thinking of console exclusives, which I do think Xbox is going to continue to triple down on the bigger side. I'm standing by this. Blade's going to be exclusive. I think that Blade and Hi-Fi Rush, very different things. I think this enhances those moments.
I like the idea of the fluidity of it, though. The idea that I think Blade is going to launch exclusive, right? I think it's going to launch on PC and Xbox. But who knows, a year after, 2 years after Blade comes out, why not?
There's potential there.
It's the same thing with, PlayStation's been doing it with PC, right? Of hey, and obviously it's a different thing, but hey, let's put out Horizon Forbidden West on PS5, and then a couple years later, right now slated for 2024, we have Horizon Forbidden West Complete Edition slated for PC, and we're able to do that because we're gonna get that first wave of people that are gonna buy the console, that are gonna buy the game, that are gonna buy the DLC and play it, and now a couple years after, let's get another wave of people in, right? And obviously that's not them putting it on Xbox, but who knows, man? I wouldn't be surprised if 10 years from now, PlayStation is let's put games on Xbox, because it just makes sense. I think the things are changing.
Yep.
The industry is changing. Things are always changing, right? But I think especially now, looking at the numbers, looking at how much money it costs to make a video game, and it's tough to make that same amount of money back on an exclusive, unless you're Nintendo, because Nintendo exclusives sell like crazy.
Yeah.
But even then, right? Like we don't have
so
all
do
those
PlayStation
numbers.
though. Like that's the thing is like the PlayStation games, they do sell. They cost a lot, but they do sell. Like it's not as doom and gloom as it could sound. It's going to be
for sure.
But like, we're there.
Yeah, I think the difference is like you're not making money hand over fist. I would assume, right, as PlayStation with like the exclusives, with how much you're spending on them, versus Nintendo, where again, I don't know if Nintendo's making money hand over fist, but they're selling 50 million copies of a Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which is a remaster of a previous console's game. I would assume that they're making a lot of money off of that. But yeah, like I'm curious to see like one, where this goes between the Switch, PS5, etc. But then also how this goes in terms of like the reception of it, because yeah, I think Hi-Fi Rush could have a lot of success on a Switch. I think. And this is now me taking a train into Speculation Station. Could you imagine Hi-Fi Rush as a Switch 2? Oh, there it is. Could you imagine Hi-Fi Rush as a Switch 2 launch title? Like being like advertised as part of that launch lineup?
Hi-Fi Rush, this one?
Yeah.
The first one?
The first one, yeah.
Oh, shit.
Like say like this actually comes through in the fall, and the Switch 2 comes through in the fall.
I think if I imagine it'll be earlier than that.
I would think so too. But like... I mean, the Switch 2 is around the corner.
I mean, you're right. Pad out the launch lineup with like that. That would be a perfect like. Oh yeah, hey, he was a great game.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we got Mario Odyssey 2, we got Metroid Prime 4, and here's Hi-Fi Rush 2.
They're not gonna do Mario Odyssey and Metroid Prime on the same day. It would be silly.
Yeah, it would be really cool though.
It would be cool.
It'd be really cool.
Silly.
Moving on, something else that'll be really cool. Story number 2: Metal Gear Solid Delta and Silent Hill 2 will release this year, according to PlayStation. This is Jordan Midler at VGC. A post on the PlayStation blog has claimed that Metal Gear Solid Delta, Snake Eater, and the Silent Hill 2 remake are set to release this year. In a blog post detailing the biggest games that are set to be released in 2024, both Metal Gear Solid Delta, Snake Eater, and Silent Hill are listed with a disclaimer at the bottom of the blog reading, all featured titles scheduled for release in 2024 at the time of publication. While neither title has a firm release date, this is the strongest suggestion so far that both remakes could be released in 2024. Right now, if you're a video watcher, Barrett has up the video that PlayStation uploaded at the top of the year. That was basically like a breakdown of all the 2024 games that are coming out. And it's games that we all know are coming out in 2024. And then Metal Gear Solid Delta and Silent Hill 2 are part of the fray.
Yeah, interesting. This to me doesn't mean shit. Like this type of announcement, this type of trailer where it's just like, hey, could happen, but also until we actually get more specific trailers for those games with dates attached or a Twitter post or something, I feel like it's just making an assumption at this point that that could happen, but also not surprised. I think both of them totally could make sense. We know they've both been in development for a long time. Like, how long were we talking about Metal Gear Solid 3?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it was
a
long time. And what we were talking about was like, pretty like substantiated rumors that it was being worked on.
Yeah.
You know, and there was questions of who's working on it. And then we got those answered.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, but like what exactly is it? When's it going to be in? And then it was like, boom, here it's announced at the PlayStation Showcase. So shout out to Foam Stars, by the way. But yeah, I am excited about that. I feel like, you know, we're now in 2024. That's wild. It's January 8th. Like we're making our way through this year already. We have a lot of answers to what games are coming this year, but there's still a lot of question marks, right? Like when we're thinking about what the big titles are throughout the year, Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta makes sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think I'm a bit more confident than you in terms of like what this trailer is communicating. I think like the fact that in the blog they do go out of their way to mention that like, you know, all feature titles are scheduled for release in 2024 at the time of publication, and like going through that video, like all those games are for the most part games that we know are 2024, and then you sneak in Metal Gear Solid in there. Like it is a weird way to announce that window, but like, hey, if you got that, if I feel like you don't just accidentally put that in there. I feel like that's not something that just happens to make its way in there. I think there has to be some level of confidence in that. Oh yeah, we plan to put this out in 2024.
And yes, I agree with that for sure. I just don't believe it. Like I don't believe it's going to happen.
Like, do you think it's going to get delayed?
That's my thing. Is like I just feel like this type of official announcement, which it is an official announcement. Like this, you don't get much more official than this. It still just feels like our plan is 2024. That to me doesn't feel like it's 2024.
Okay,
you know, and that's just based on game development, just like what we've seen the last couple of years. Having said that, I would bet that it does. I think that both happen this year.
That Silent Hill 2 and Metal Gear Solid Delta
happened this year. Yeah.
I think if both happen this year, I forget, this might be a year wrong. Are those exclusive? Are Metal Gear Solid Delta and Silent Hill 2, are those PlayStation exclusive or
no?
Are
because the Metal Gear Solid Delta was shown off as at an Xbox partner thing. So one of the trailers that I showed.
Gotcha. Okay.
Let me full screen this. Yeah, like this is from Xbox. So.
Oh, their partner preview. Oh yeah, you're right. I remember that because that's when we were like, okay, cool.
Silent Hill, I have no
environment.
idea.
The chat saying Silent Hill 2 is
for a year.
Big Boss Terror saying for 1 year, but other people are just saying it is.
Gotcha. Metal Gear Solid though has it was revealed at that state of play, but I guess when them doing the Xbox partner preview thing, I don't know if they have like a partner like deal or whatever. But either way, I do think that. Late last year, we were talking a lot about 2024 and how 2024 feels like it has a lot of question marks. And now that we're here, now that we're post Game Awards, now that we're post this 2024 trailer for PlayStation going up, I almost feel like it's starting to crystallize in a way where I'm like, this might just be 2024. Like, this might just be it, like what we have. Because I know we talked about the PlayStation exclusive side of things, right? And that is, we got Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Last of Us 2.
Last of Us Part 2 remastered. Concord, and then like
Hellblade.
Well, Hellblade's Xbox.
Sorry, not Hellblade. Helldivers.
Oh yeah, Helldivers. And then like Death Stranding 2 doesn't really have a release date, so I'm now at this point I'm like maybe not.
Maybe not. Yeah, but maybe.
But like if we get Silent Hill 2, let's say this fall, and we also get Metal Gear Solid. I know Metal Gear Solid isn't an exclusive, but it is a AAA game. That could just be the year.
Yeah,
that could just be it.
I think that
not the most
more.
Exciting year, but
then
you
look at Xbox, right? And Hellblade.
Yeah.
So it's like I think the balance is just going to be different, which is potentially very exciting. Like I think that there's opportunities for some major wins on the Xbox side, like Hellblade being one of them. There's so many games they announced at last year's Xbox Game Showcase around Summer Game Fest that we just simply don't have information on. So maybe there are more surprises than we expect coming from like, oh, that game's actually being released 2024. Like that cool one with them in the bayou. I forget the name of it, but like there was the dude with the guitar.
Oh,
the Xbox
that was kind
one?
of
It
was animated in a way that reminded me of Kubo and the Two Strings.
Yeah, exactly.
A cool looking game.
So I think the Xbox side could potentially surprise us, and then.
I mean, the Xbox side is like pretty. Isn't it, I have to go back and check Blessed Super Fun game release calendar. It's currently being worked on.
I think this is going to be a big year for third-party games, and then
South of Midnight, by the way.
Yes.
Oh, South of Midnight.
Yeah.
Because think about this, like we're like, yes, Final Fantasy VII is an exclusive, but that's a game from Square. To kick off the year, right? Like we're gonna get Yakuza in a few weeks, and then Persona 3 a couple weeks later. I don't know. Because it's also like we don't know really much after like March, April.
That's the thing. It's like we got to pop it off first couple months of like we have the answers and they're pretty damn exciting. But then it's like after that, it gets a little bit more like, what's going to happen? And hey, that's what Summer Game Fest is for.
Yeah.
But also, Big N, baby.
Oh, Nintendo?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be a very exciting year for Nintendo.
That's the biggest thing.
I had a nightmare last night.
Oh, God. What was it?
The Switch didn't come out until 2025. And I was like, I woke up and I started thinking about it. And I was like, well, there's a story later on that like the Apple Vision Pro is coming out in February. I was starting to think back to last year, and like the PSVR 2 came out in February. I understand VR, very different thing from core consoles, but like I could see a Switch coming out in February, like a new Nintendo console coming, like them holding it until next February or March, because Switch 1 released in March.
The thing with Nintendo, especially now, is like I don't think there's any pattern we can look at. Who the hell knows what's going to happen? Like I feel like we can make an argument any which way of the best time for a Switch 2 to come out, and it would make sense. But what I think is interesting about Nintendo right now is I'm excited for their lineup regardless of the Switch 2. I also expect the Switch 2 is coming. But like we have a great first half of 2024
Princess Peach
from Nintendo Super Princess, or not Super Princess Peach.
Showtime.
Peach Showtime. All of the remakes that they're putting out, like they've been knocking it out of the park. Super Mario RPG was fantastic, and to be getting Mario versus Donkey Kong, Thousand Year Door coming soon, like that stuff's going to be awesome. Padded out with the other Horsemen. The Luigi's Mansion 3DS and all that. But like I think that there's going to be some fun surprises there. And then you add on the inevitable Switch 2 announcement. At the very least, the announcement will be this year.
Yeah, I would think like the announcement is either going to be either summer or fall, depending on when it's coming, right? If it is coming in 2025, then you would think fall. God forbid, though. I woke up in cold sweats. I was like, I woke up last night. I was like, oh God, no, please, no.
I feel it.
Oh man, I don't know, man. That GTA 6 trailer ended with 2025, and I didn't expect that. And so,
true.
Nintendo, please.
True.
Please,
and
please
Wolverine,
save me, Nintendo.
I feel like there wasn't any for sure it's gonna happen this year. But I know personally, I was way more like, oh, I think Wolverine's 2024.
Yeah.
So maybe we are just in this post.
Games just take a long time to make,
Totally.
I think that's a tough thing. And also a couple of shout outs I did make when I was talking about PlayStation exclusives coming this year. Rise of the Ronin, that's in March. Now I got my super fun game release calendar, unreleased, pulled up. Rise of the Ronin is slated for March 22nd, which is going to be really cool for an exclusive. And then Stellar Blade, which I talked about all last year.
Where is it?
Where is Stellar Blade? It was in that trailer. It was in the 2024 trailer.
It was.
And so maybe we'll see it in 2025. I digress. Moving on. Before I tell you about story number 3, let me tell you about the Kind of Funny membership that you can get either on patreon.com or youtube.com/kindoffunnygames for just $10. It's my first time. I was supposed to host it. It was supposed to be Greg. I would have practiced. For just $10, you can get the Kind of Funny membership. That'll get you shows ad-free. It'll get you live recordings of shows, and it'll get you daily exclusive content. But guess what? If you're right here listening to an ad that's about to happen, that means you don't have the Kind of Funny membership. So here's some ads.
This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. Around New Year's, we get obsessed with how to change ourselves instead of just expanding on what we're already doing right. Therapy helps you find your strengths so you can ditch the extreme resolutions and make changes that really stick. You can get out of your negative thought cycles and find some mental and emotional peace, and it can give you the tools you need to find more balance in your life so you can keep supporting others without leaving yourself behind. Some of my best friends use BetterHelp and love how helpful it can be for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself. It isn't just for those who've experienced major trauma. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. You just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Celebrate the progress you've already made by visiting betterhelp.com/kindoffunny today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/kindoffunny. BetterHelp.com/kindoffunny. And we're back, everybody. Real quick, I just want to explain this to people that are new on the membership side of YouTube. There's no way to do our live shows ad-free for everybody because they're live. So that's just not how time works. So it's ad-free for the VOD that you can get, or the audio version that you can get later. So
there you go.
Yeah. So if you're live, we're sorry. It's the best we can do.
The live and ad-free are more for the shows that we pre-record and then post later, like the Kind of Funny podcast later this afternoon.
In
review, Gamescast, PS I Love You, Xcast.
Exactly. And while we were going there, we got a super chat about the Metal Gear question here from Street Shadow. In addition to the Delta announcement, did you see the MGS1 remake rumors heating up?
Where did this come from? Did you see this?
Over the weekend, there's been some chatter from similar, it wasn't Hate the Hate, I don't think, but it was a similar type of insider dropping some info about, in addition to 3, the Metal Gear Solid 1 rumors that we've been talking about forever seem to be pretty real.
So I got an article here from Liam Croft from Push Square. The article's titled Metal Gear Solid Remake Hopes Kept Alive by New Report. Konami looks to be resurrecting its Metal Gear Solid series via ports of all the old mainline games that form the Master Collection, with Volume 1 already out now. But a new report has reignited hopes that the Japanese publisher still plans to give the original PS1 classic a full makeover. This is from, I never know how to pronounce this, but Aria Yugones, this is via Eurogamer, suggests that while Konami is prioritizing the upcoming remake of Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, the company is still working on a remake of the first installment. The suggestion comes after talking to multiple sources, with the site having supposedly leaked God of War Ragnarok DLC Valhalla prior to its announcement at the Game Awards, according to Eurogamer. It's reported that the remake has been in development for several years, but the developer at the helm is unknown. Though reports over the years have suggested the old Metal Gear Solid titles would be more than just ported to current-gen consoles, all we have so far is the first 3 in either the original form or the remasters released on PS3. There's also Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, which is a full remake from Virtuous. All right.
Yeah.
What would you want from a Metal Gear Solid remake?
I just want one. Like real talk, I want one so bad, man. Like,
do you still want, because I know there was the whole Metal Gear Solid Twin Stakes that came out on GameCube that kind of changed the perspective.
I love it. Everybody, it was my first, So I'm a little biased. Everyone's all mad because he gets a little more flippy. What can I say? I'm a fan of flippy guys.
That's fair. That's fair.
And Yoshi was in it.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because like I kind of want both. Like I would love a Twin Snakes remaster or like a Twin Snakes re-release. I think that'd be dope, but I also do want, if you're gonna remake Metal Gear Solid the original, I still want that same perspective.
Alex J. Sandoval on YouTube says something very important. Metal Gear Solid Triple Snakes.
I love that. I love that.
That means three snakes. There are three
perspective
snakes.
thing that you're bringing up here. Like, did you play Twin Snakes or like have you?
I never played Twin Snakes.
So they don't actually change the perspective. They just allow you to go into the first person that you can in MGS2. So it's the same. People are just upset because it made it a little bit more, a lot more over the top.
Yeah, it feels more like Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3. I imagine that.
Yeah, and like maybe even more. Like he's like flipping over like missiles and shit. Like it's very Fast and Furious in a way that like people don't vibe with, but I'm a simple man.
Yeah, he's a simple Tim.
Yeah, but simple Tim, baby. But MGS1 is I love it, and I struggle to go back to it. Like I've never played through the PlayStation version. I've tried so many times, and I tried recently with the over the break with the Master Collection or whatever it's called, and I played for like an hour, and I'm like, God, I love this, but I just can't.
Man, that shocks me.
I know.
But also I get it. Like it's the thing that Greg Miller says, which half the time I agree with, half the time I disagree with, right? Like old game is old. Metal Gear Solid 1 is one of those ones where like in my mind, I'm like, oh, it hasn't aged. It's like one of those things where it's just timeless, you know? Like, but also I also get that like actually Barrett, for you played Metal Gear Solid 1 for the first time in the last couple of years. How would you say that game felt in 2020?
Not great.
Whatever. Okay.
Really bad. But also it's weird too because that was when we streamed it. The only way for me to play it was on GOG, and like GOG's mapping of controls and stuff was also just like really bad and weird and shit. And so I had to like remap it and try to find a control scheme that works for me. And I had to do it every single time I booted up the game because it wouldn't save the remapped controls. It was a shit show. And from what I understand as well, like the mapping of like the ports that came out for Collection Volume 1 last year also weren't great. So yeah, I would love a modernized control scheme, or not even like fully modernized, just like something closer to like 3. I think 3 is where they started to kind of figure out like how to make that game feel good.
In that case, remake it.
Yeah, which again, not to go too long on this, fundamentally breaks the game. Like the easier you make the controls, then all of a sudden the game doesn't exist. And that was the problem with Twin Snakes, is like that's where the perspective broke it. It's like being able to go into first person made some of the boss fights not boss fights. Like,
and I think that's gonna be the tough thing with this remake, right? If they go all in, if they go full remake, I think, yeah, if they are going to change the controls, if they are gonna modernize it in a way, then you kind of are just changing the game, right? And
I'm fine with Resident Evil 2 remake, baby.
And I think the tough thing about that, and you know, it being Konami, right? Like you have a battle ahead of you, because if you're going to modernize it, I think you have to redesign certain things. If you're going to redesign certain things, there's only so much you can do to it before the audience is like, but Kojima didn't do this.
Yeah,
you know, like people associate Kojima so strongly with the creative choices of Metal Gear, and is that right? Is that not right? I'm not one to tell you, right? But like, I do think that is going to be a battle that you have to kind of go up against, and I think we're going to get the first instance of that with Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta Snake Eater. I think that's going to be the real sign of, are people ready for this? Like, are people in a place where they can play a Metal Gear Solid 3, play a Metal Gear Solid game that is essentially like redefining a thing without Kojima?
Yeah,
we'll see.
I think the answer is yes. For the majority of people, I think that there's we all understand the Kojima stuff.
Yeah,
my friend Vincent doesn't. He just knows he loves Metal Gear Solid, and he's going to be excited to play Metal Gear Solid 3 Remake. You get what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that's the majority of people, but that's not going to stop us having many conversations about it.
Moving on. Story number 3. Apple's $3,500 Vision Pro headset launches in the US in February. This is Tom Ivan at VGC. Apple has announced a US launch date for its mixed reality headset, the Vision Pro. Pre-orders will begin on January 19th ahead of its launch on February 2nd. Apple Vision Pro will be available online and at all U.S. Apple Store locations, starting at $3,500, $3,499, I should say, with 256 gigabytes of storage.
I freaking love this, man. CES is happening right now, which is the convention for tech. It's the E3 of tech that happens every year, where they show off a lot of concept stuff, prototypes of what the future is going to look like. And I'd say it's maybe like a 30-70 split where 30% of the things they show off eventually come to be. 70%, it's like, no. They tried, but it didn't actually happen or make it into stores. And a lot of stuff's popping off this year. A lot of major mini LED tech increases and advancements in OLED in general. And I love that Apple, who's not there, like, everyone was like, somehow Apple's going to try to steal the shine from CES.
Yeah.
They're going to do something. And then, of course, they just announced this. Oh, yeah, this thing that we've been talking about for a year, it's coming out in like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So deal with it. And I've talked about this on the show before, but like this, I think that it's pretty clear. $3,500 for a very, very, very niche piece of tech that is so far not proven to be a mainstream success. Speaking of VR, is a tough sell for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. But so was the Apple Watch when it dropped at whatever, $1,300 for the nicest model of that one. And now, and a lot of this just has to do with your location of where you are. But in San Francisco, you can't walk down the street without seeing an Apple Watch. It's just, it's a ubiquitous thing, correct?
Yeah, I mean, for the most, if you're an Apple person, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but here's the thing. Here's my counter argument with this, Tim. When I walk up to someone wearing an Apple Watch, I don't look at them and go, I need you to take off the Apple Watch before we have a conversation. Yeah. Them trying to showcase them just going to have a normal conversation while this lady still has the fucking headset on? No. What are we doing here? What are we doing here?
Yeah. That's not the comparison I'm making, though.
Insane.
That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is adopting the tech. And to your point, though, Galaxy watches, though, smartwatches in general.
Smartwatches are such a
but
like
thing. They went from not a thing to being a thing because the Apple Watch made it mainstream accessible. They weren't the first to do it.
No,
Galaxy watches it existed before, but Apple's the one that told the world, here's why you need this thing, and then it ended up like people bought that shit, and now it's normal. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but I do think that the Apple Vision Pro is the best chance of success for Apple to craft a narrative of why VR is important to the mainstream, and I think it's going to be through the use of home videos, allowing people to use their iPhones to shoot in 3D, which I can do on this phone right now, and relive moments in 3D. If they can sell that is going to be the thing that when iteration 2 or 3 of this comes and you can get it for $600, I'm just throwing numbers out there. You guys get the point that I'm making.
Yeah, like people in chat are saying, like, oh, $3,500 is not mainstream. And it's like they're not trying to make it mainstream for $3,500. Nope. They're trying to prove the concept for $3,500. Yep.
And the Apple Watch, it's now as ubiquitous as it is because it's $300.
Yeah, I'm not counting this thing out. I to your point, right? I think the use case for it is going to be more so replacing computers, right? Like, hey, if you can get workplaces to go with your mixed reality headsets over like a desktop or over a laptop or whatever. Like, I think that starts to become where you can maybe see this thing come through and make waves. I don't know if that's going to happen, right? I think the thing is it has to have some kind of utility that makes it worthwhile. And I don't know what utility mixed VR or mixed reality has that makes it worthwhile over just using a computer or over just using my phone or over just using something like watching TV.
I mean, I think you're nailing it, though. It is that instead of needing 2 monitors, that is your monitor.
Yeah, it's just the goggles.
It's everything that you need. And like they're going to have to prove that it works, and it's going to have to just work. And that's when Apple products just work, it's great. When they don't, there's a problem. And just the last thing I want to say is I do think it's going to be the use case of the home movie stuff and then also the utility of productivity and workspace implication or implementations. But I saw as part of the press release of this that Apple is promoting, there's like 150 or so 3D movies that they've went back and like made sure are all easily available to be played on this. Like they're doing this as right as they possibly can. So far, it seems to set this up to be the early adopter. Hey, we're shooting our shot. I'm still not convinced it's going to work.
Yeah,
but
I'm on the 3070 number you put out of like 30% chance this catches on, 70% chance it's like, okay, nobody wants this, like it ends up going nowhere and they move on to the next thing.
Yeah, I think I might be a little higher than you, maybe like a 40-60, but okay. I don't think that this is going to be an Apple Watch type success. But who knows, man? Everything's changing. But I think that people are counting this out a little too early.
Story number 4. Fighting game Hunter x Hunter Nen Impact has been announced. This is Rhiannon Bevan at The Gamer. Hunter x Hunter Nen Impact has just been revealed. A new fighting game based on the Hunter x Hunter manga series. Nen Impact was unveiled with a short teaser trailer showing some of the characters preparing to duke it out. We didn't get a look at any gameplay, and there's no hint as to when it'll launch. However, fans fear that the trailer is suggesting it'll be an arena fighter, so as opposed to a more traditional entry in the fighting game genre. Right now, it's being described as a full-scale or full-fledged fighting game, at least when translating the game's description into English via Google Translate, which doesn't necessarily confirm that it'll be an arena fighter. I've been seeing this make the rounds a bit over the break, and I'm on one hand kind of excited about it because I like Hunter x Hunter and I like fighting games. I don't really, I see a lot of people freaking out that this might be an arena fighter. I don't get arena fighter vibes from it. And maybe the vibes people are getting is just that the character models don't look that great. like the character models look kind of like a bit low quality, but I don't think that necessarily means it's an arena fighter. Like I get 3v.
But bless, they're literally in an arena.
That is true. That is true. Well, in season 2 of Hunter x Hunter, Barrett.
So many X's, so many crosses.
But yeah, I mean, the fact that it's you have 3 people on each side obviously points to the fact that it's like a 3v3 fighter, which could mean arena, could be 2D. The thing that I point to as well is the developer who's making this game, Aiding. They worked on... what did they work on? They worked on Tatsunoko versus Capcom in the past.
We just talked about this, yeah.
And then they also worked on one other game that is like a 2D fighter. But also they've worked on like Naruto games in the past too. So it's really hard to nail down. But DNF Duel. They worked on DNF Duel as well. So like I think there's a bit of hope there. And I think they also did some work on Marvel vs. Capcom 3. So there's some hope there. I think that it could be a 2D fighter. I hope it's a 2D fighter because a Hunter x Hunter 2D fighter would be sick. But yeah, like it also could be an arena fighter, right? Like that would be the unfortunate scenario. I'd still play it if it's an arena fighter because I don't give a fuck. But yeah, we'll see. Like I think this is exciting nonetheless. I think this is pretty cool that they're making a Hunter x Hunter game. Tim, I'm tired of all that big news that we just covered. If I wanted something smaller, say the tiniest news I needed to know about, where would I go?
You go to our last story, the We News channel, where we cover all the small news items you need to know about.
Story number 5, that's right, we got We News for you. We talked about at the beginning of the show that we're making some changes to Out Today, new dates, and deals of the day for you. We decided that like a lot of that stuff could just be condensed into one thing, right? Like AKHD, we spent the bulk of the show talking about the big news stories, right? And a lot of our discussion revolves around that stuff. By the time we get to the end of the show, it almost feels like we are cramming things in when it gets to new dates and Out Today. And so the We News channel, as we've titled it, is going to be for all
WEE. Don't sue us, anybody.
WEE, no relation. This is sort of our catch-all for the smaller news stories, right? The headlines that we usually don't get to on the show, but then also the important Out Todays and the important new dates that people want to know about. So getting into it, from Noble, McDonald's in Europe gets a Sonic collab for their Happy Meal until February 6th. And it looks really cool. If you're watching the video version, you can see the trailer for it where you see Sonic spin dashing around a Happy Meals box and then turning it into his face. It's pretty cool.
So what's wild about this, plus earlier we were talking about the Sonic Symphony and like how much Sonic has meant to me and you over the years.
Yeah.
And it's wild because like we're coming up on the 35th anniversary in like 2 years, which is wild to think about. The 30th anniversary was Sonic Mania and all of that.
Yeah.
And it's wild where I have my bomber jacket that I wear was the 25th anniversary. And as I just keep going back, I'm like, I've been somewhat a part of Sonic and the anniversaries going back all the way. Sonic's 10th anniversary was when Sonic Adventure 2 came out. And I had a Sonic's 10th anniversary poster in my room.
Oh my God.
And I'm just like, damn, man, they've been celebrating this little hedgehog
little blue guy
for a long time. It's just cool. And this goes back to the originals. I remember Kevin's mom taking me and Kevin to like multiple McDonald's to try to collect all of the Sonic the Hedgehog original Happy Meal toys.
Oh my God. That's
and one
awesome.
of them was like, it was Tails and it was like on a little spring thing and you hit it and then you would fly up and like, it was the best toy ever.
Dude. I love that. Moving on, Dead by Daylight is teasing an Alan Wake crossover. We're going to get more info on that tomorrow, January 9th. Final Fantasy XIV's Pictomancer job was unveiled at FanFest. VGC says, according to Square Enix, Pictomancer is a magical ranged DPS job that works in the medium of mixed ether, wielding a specialized brush to render their imaginings reality. And then also the beta for the long-awaited Xbox version of Final Fantasy XIV will begin next month. Cult of the Lamb, Sins of the Flesh update launches January 16th. I think that's the sex update that they've been teasing for the last few months. And then finally, Horizon Forbidden West PC port is getting DLSS 3 support. Right now, Barrett has a video up, and it looks hot.
This game is gorgeous, man.
It is an incredible looking game. We don't talk about, like, that's one of the things that I think got swept over earlier last year when Horizon Burning Shores came out is the fact that Burning Shores looks even better than Forbidden West, and the character models are the best character models I've ever seen in my life.
And we just expect it. We're just like, oh yeah, the game looks good.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Incredible.
This is magic.
And that's it for the Wii News channel. Tim, now it's time for the Super Chats. Of course, you can write in with YouTube Super Chats, right? That's where you give us the $5 for the YouTube Super Chats, and we read your Super Chats and talk about your questions, comments, and more.
So we don't have any Super Chats.
Oh, cool.
We don't have any Super Chats right now. Yeah, so again, this is going to be a new thing we're doing as we're going through the show. Get your Super Chats in. We'll bring them up when they relate to the actual stories if we can and if the timing works out. Otherwise, we'll get to them at this last kind of 10 minutes of the show, hang out with you, and this will very much be just like the post show has been the last couple months, because even that was always an experiment. Like we started that as trying to like find a way to bridge Games Daily in the streams a little bit more, and it was a lot of fun, but then it also it kind of just turned into just us hanging out, which is great, but it was like we can hang out better.
Yeah,
we can hang out in other places, and you guys are going to see, like, there's been a lot of questions about like what's going on with the streams and all that. It's just going to better. This in every single way. I think the streams are going to be better. They're going to be more varied. They're going to be in a way better lab now. Like the setup that the boys did is so damn cool. But me, you, and Greg are going to be able to play a lot more games on the streams.
Yeah.
Breaking up, so it's not always just Andy, Nick, and Mike, the Jabroni boys, but you're also going to get more than your fill of them. So do not worry at all. But get your Super Chats in, and we'll hang out and talk about them.
Get your Super Chats in. We're going to move on
10 minutes.
Currently to You're Wrong, and I do have something I want to talk to you about, actually.
Good.
Kindoffunny.com/You're Wrong. That's where you write in. Let us know what we got wrong as we got it wrong, so we can correct it for those watching later on YouTube and listening later on podcast services around the globe. Kebab says the runtime of Kinda Funny Day 2023 is 11 hours and 55 minutes and 0 seconds.
No,
that's an unfortunate YouTube processing thing. If we stream more than 12 hours, YouTube just cuts off at 11 hours and 55 minutes. And so I know for the YouTube VOD, it did cut off the Kinda Funny happy hour. But don't fret, we have recorded everything we did that day in separate chunks. So that is not gone forever for the happy hour.
Appreciate that, Bear.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Dillian Twining says, congrats on the first Games Daily of the year. Also, KF Day was amazing, and the new game show sounds and looks awesome. Thank you so much. I agree. Kinda Funny Game Showdown is our new show launching this Friday with episode 1 live for everybody to watch right after Games Daily on Twitch and YouTube, hosted by Blessing. It is a full group effort of pretty much everybody at Kinda Funny doing something for the show, and it's going to be a ton of fun. If y'all have seen Kinda Feudy before, this is essentially taking that and just making it a lot cooler and a lot bigger. There's going to be more games, Kinda Feudy being one of them. We did a preview episode during the stream, so you can go check out the stream and look at the timestamps that are I think the top comments right now to find this. It was a super fun time.
Kebabs writes into You're Wrong. It says the official title for MGS Delta doesn't have a 3 in it. Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, which, if you arrange the boxes alphabetically, places it after MGS 5 and MGS Acid. I don't know what you mean by that last part, but I just say, I know it's Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. Sometimes I'll put the 3 in there to let people know, because sometimes people don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But yeah, Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater.
CJ Splits On writes in with a super chat saying, Hi-Fi Rush with DualSense. Drool. Oh my God. I haven't even thought about that.
Oh yeah.
That is...
Think about feeling the rhythm in your controller, too.
That is powerful. I want that so bad, man. I'm obsessed with the DualSense's haptics, man. They are so damn good, and everyone else needs to step the fuck up. I'm just saying it.
Damn.
Nintendo HD Rumble, figure it out.
I mean, that's that's the thing playing with that Xbox thing, from the Microsoft court hearings, right? You have the cylindrical Xbox, and then they talked about doing having an Xbox controller that took a lot more inspiration from the DualSense, and so having haptics and all that stuff. So we're barreling towards that future.
And I'm very happy about it. And to be clear, HD Rumble's fantastic. Nintendo does a great job with it. Their controllers just aren't great. That's the problem. It's the tech is there, but the Pro Controller, it's fine. But yeah. DualSense, man.
I like the Joy-Cons. Except for the drift. The whole drift situation is unfortunate. Right. But like, I like the Joy-Cons. Aside from that, I think the Joy-Cons are neat. And then one more for you're wrong. Shelby says the Twitch VOD has Friday at 13 hours and 24 minutes and 42 seconds, if we're still curious.
Galaxy Lore says, no question. Just love you guys. Thank you so much, Galaxy. Yeah, I appreciate that. Dear Sixlet says, great to be back, guys. The vocalist at the concert was Casey Lee Williams. She does the music for Ruby, which is a banger. I also had a chat earlier.
Yeah, I can find that. I don't know if it popped up in the page that we have on our end, Timmy. But Dear Six wrote in the middle of the show and says, if Metal Gear Solid 3 and Silent Hill are there, and it's true despite not having a window, then Kingdom Hearts 4 is probably going to be 2025, which is pretty reasonable. Any other titles you think of that could be deconfirmed for this year as well?
That is interesting. Definitely.
Well, I'm missing like the correlation between... because Kingdom Hearts wasn't in like the 2024 hype video.
Yeah, but I think that's more so. I don't know. Kingdom Hearts was like so. I think that's more so just Konami and PlayStation's relationship, right? Like I think maybe Konami gave the okay for PlayStation to be like, yeah, you can announce these for 2024 if you want. I don't think Square Enix with Kingdom Hearts would have that same thing with PlayStation. I'd be very surprised if Kingdom Hearts 4 came up in a PlayStation 2024 video out of nowhere. Like that'd be wild. That would set the internet on fire. Whereas like I think there could be. That's why I think there's more credence to the idea of Metal Gear Solid Delta and Silent Hill 2 coming out this year.
Street Shadow says, want to share an idea for a fun game stream? EA Sports big game tournament, SSX Tricky Race, NBA Street Volume 2, Def Jam Vendetta.
Nobody wants that. Like, no, I mean, nobody wants that against me specifically. Let me be clear. I would fucking wipe the floor with this entire office.
Yeah.
Like, it'd be embarrassing.
That's so funny.
I wouldn't be confident in that, Bless. I wouldn't be confident.
Let me repeat myself if you didn't hear me clearly, Barrett. Wipe the floor. Like this floor right here, the studio floor would be clean. Give me the gym. This floor would be clean again based off what I'm doing to this floor with your body, Barrett.
Wow.
I'm not saying myself. I'm not saying
myself,
but I could see it coming down to you and Mike and you choking.
Mike doesn't want it. Mike would be the first to go.
Man.
Mike, it'd be this thing where I look at, I'm like, who's the biggest guy in the room, and I fucking punch him in the face.
Yeah,
that's what I'm doing to Mike in the EA Sports stuff. I'm putting myself in the bracket against him first. I'm taking him out in whatever EA Sports big game you want to bust out. You know,
I love the confidence here. That's great.
Oh yeah,
I love those games. I definitely would not have any faith in myself, especially these days. I haven't played well in so long. There was a time that me and my friend Curran, we were like into NBA Street Volume 2 and like into getting good at it, and we would go at each other. And then there was a point where he just like he broke through a skill wall, and I'm like, all right, you're better than me. There's no coming back.
Listen, I remember back in the day, me and my friend Joey Sasaki, he's the homie. We would play NFL Street 1. And he would wipe the floor with me, but that also is the thing that forced me to get better at that game. And let me tell you, those NFL Street games, we don't talk about them enough. Those are some fun video games.
Absolutely.
Those are some bangers, dude. And was there an NHL EA Sports big game? Because I think that's like the one I didn't play. It was that, and then like whatever the very first EA Sports big game was.
Yeah, I don't know. That is interesting. NHL, street hockey? I don't think so. William Gordon says, are both of you looking forward to Echo tomorrow? I am. I'm a little stressed out just time-wise.
Tomorrow?
Yeah, all 5 episodes.
What the
tomorrow at 6 p.m. Hulu and Disney Plus. They're trying something a little different here because it's rated R.
Freak Style is what I was thinking of.
Oh, Freak Style, dude.
Yeah,
oh,
I never played
Motocross.
Freak Style, so maybe I'll get the hands in that. But then it doesn't look like there's a NHL game. There's this game though. It's called Sled Storm. I'm also kind of excited for Echo. I actually hit up my so I recently canceled my Disney Plus. Because they raised the prices dramatically, and I was like, "Ooh, I'm not paying this for like one Marvel show a year that I'm probably gonna watch." But then I saw a clip floating around for Echo, like one action clip, and I texted my sister, and I was like, "Yo, okay, let me get that Disney Plus password," because I'm somebody who loves the Daredevil Netflix show, and like I saw recently that they canonized it. I don't know if that's for real or not.
Let's wait and watch the show.
Yeah. But if that's the case, like I'm all the way in because I miss Daredevil. I loved that show.
We're gonna cut off the super chats for today. Cap Charisma says, "Hey Tim and Bless, have you guys played the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet DLC yet? The shit's banging. You can catch all starters from the 9 games and 25 legendaries, plus Meloetta. I am still making my way through the Indigo disc. having a really, really great time. But I realized I was like, there's no rush for this for me. Like, there's so many other games to play right now. Like, I'm gonna make my way through. But yeah, it's great. What they allow you to do in there of the starters and legendaries is so hype. It's so great. And yeah, I've been real into it. Really loved the first part of the DLC as well. The Indigo Teal Mask. It was nifty for what it was. You know, I had a good couple hours with it. And
that for the epilogue?
Well, that already came out.
Oh, the epilogue's out?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Or like,
I thought it was coming out like this month.
Maybe. I don't know. I think it might already be out, but if not, it's in the next couple days. But I'm not prepared to get there anyways. But I am excited to eventually get to it. And then the last one we got here is
people saying it's out soon. It's still a couple days off. Is what people were saying.
Ninja Tonight says, "Is there any non-profit charities that you all are kind of funny love? Love you guys and keep up the good streams and videos."
Ooh, Able Gamers. Shout out to Able Gamers.
Yeah.
I used to do a few charity streams for like Black Girls Code back in the day, and I always loved that just for the idea of it and the mission of it. We always do stuff for Extra Life as well.
Yeah. A lot of the video game space stuff, like whether it's like getting like kids access to games or getting more people being able to play games or getting more people into the games industry. So yeah, I don't have any specifics besides the ones you're talking about there to shout out. You got any, Barrett?
My head's empty right now, so I have nothing off the dome.
I was gonna say Venmo.com/BarrettCourtney.
Oh my God. But yeah,
there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, I was going to talk to you about me getting nominated for Best Journalism.
Oh,
but maybe I can talk about that tomorrow.
That's a bigger conversation.
Yeah, I'll maybe
just drop that.
I'll talk about that with Greg tomorrow. Of course, this has been Kind of Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday, we run you through the nerdy news you need to know about live on YouTube, Twitch, and on podcast services around the globe. If you love what we do, please support us with the Kind of Funny membership on Patreon or YouTube to get all of our shows ad-free, watch us record them live, and get a daily exclusive show. Until next time, Game Daily.